Question. Hi Kim, what does one do if experiencing feelings of resentment, hate or dislike of a person? I'm not sure if all three are the same or different. And whenever I feel resentment, dislike or hate, what comes next is the feeling of guilt or shame for feeling said feelings. What do I do? Well, it's a classical example of what I have explained in many of my videos, that we have these mechanisms in our subconscious minds. I call them separate selves. And the separate selves are based on duality. And in the duality consciousness, there are always two opposites. So, you have some separate selves that are making you feel resentment, hate, or dislike of a person. Then you have other separate selves that are making you feel guilty for having these feelings. And you're trapped in the middle. Seems like a catch-22. Because you can't, excuse me, you can't avoid having negative feelings. And so you think you have to feel guilty for having these feelings. This may be worse because you're a spiritual person, because I've met many spiritual people, including myself, who thought that, oh, as a spiritual person, I shouldn't have any negative feelings. And so we try to suppress them, and then when we can't suppress them, we feel guilty for having the feelings. And, it's what you can call a psychological Gordian knot, or catch-22. So I talked about the Gordian knot before. It was a knot that's created in an ancient temple in Greece, where tying a lot of ropes together so that all the ends of the ropes were hidden. So there was like nothing you could pull on to untie the knot. And then some oracle had prophesied that he who could undo the Gordian knot would become ruler over all of Asia. And people tried to untie the knot and got nowhere. And then Alexander the Great comes by, he looks at the knot, he takes a sword and he chops it in half. So he undid the knot. He didn't untie it, but that's not what the prophet said. He said he who can undo the knot. So, how do you undo the Gordian knot in your psychology? By looking at these subconscious selves. And for some people it might be easiest to look at the selves that make you feel guilty. For others it might be easiest to look at the ones that make you feel resentment or hatred. You have to sense that in yourself. But so let's take first. I'm experiencing feelings of resentment, hate, or dislike of a person. I'm not sure if they are the same or different. Well, I would say, just as a working hypothesis, let's say they're the same but different levels of intensity. Dislike, it could be mild, right? You just don't like that person because the person has a certain personality that you just don't like. Resentment is more, to me, like more intense because the person did something to you that you don't like and you don't want it to happen again. And hatred is the most intense. This could be really something where the person had really violated you. And so what I would say is that if these feelings are strong, they most likely come from a past life. And if they are directed towards a specific person, it's most likely because you had past lifetimes with that person, you made karma with that person, and it may be that the person abused you without any reason. That may be the case. And therefore you created, in reaction to that abuse, you created these subconscious separate selves. So when you meet the person again, they're activated. And since you don't know exactly what the situation is, you feel this, whether it's dislike or resentment or hatred. And so the first thing I would do there is I would say that there's always energy involved. You know, the subconscious selves, they misqualify energy with a fear-based vibration, and that energy accumulates in your subconscious mind, often in the emotional body. And it pulls on your conscious mind. So it becomes very difficult for you to look at, why do I hate this person? And so the Ascended Masters are giving these tools, decrees and invocations. You can find them in my playlist about Spiritual Toolbox. And you can use these to transform the energy so that the hatred becomes less intense, and therefore it becomes easier for you to ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Why do I have these feelings towards this person? And then you can start using the tools that I also mentioned in several videos, including a couple of my breakthrough videos, to uncover the self that you have and see that there's a specific belief behind the self. It could be that in a past lifetime that this person severely hurt you or violated you, and you created this self. It could be just simply, I can never trust this person again. It could have other forms. I'm not saying this is the only way, but you made some kind of decision like this, saying, I can never trust this person again. Or even, I can never trust these kind of people again. Let's say it was a leader, for example. And so you can come to uncover that self and see that it was really just a decision you made in a very difficult situation that was overwhelming to you. And it was understandable that it was overwhelming at the time, but you have moved on. You are more mature today. You wouldn't have reacted the same way today, and then you can look at how could you have reacted differently to the situation, and you can come to see that, oh, it was just a decision I made, and it wasn't the best decision because it's keeping me trapped in these negative reactions to this person. So what do I really want with this person that I have hatred or dislike for? I want to be free of them. And how do I be free of them? By dissolving the self, by letting the self die, because I see it was based on an illusion and I wouldn't have reacted that way today. And then it doesn't matter about the other person, whether they change or not. You have changed. You are free of your reactionary pattern to that person. And if that's what matters to you, then that is a good result. If it doesn't matter to you, I can't help you. I mean, you're not ready then. And you'll just continue to feel that way for however many future lifetimes it's necessary until you get back to that point where you're willing to look at it and say, how do I free myself from this person? And then you could, essentially you can do the same thing with the feeling of guilt or shame for feeling these feelings. This also comes from a subconscious self, but it didn't come from the same situation as the other selves, because this wasn't, probably wasn't that person. It could have been, but it probably wasn't, because the feeling of guilt and shame is something that's being projected by at us by the fallen beings. I explained what fallen beings are in my video about how the world was created and in a number of other videos. So these are beings who, number one, they want you to react negatively. So, in other words, the person who hurt you in a past life could have been a fallen being or could have been controlled by the fallen beings. So they want you to react negatively. And once you do, they are going to project at you through other people, through the collective consciousness, that, oh, you shouldn't have had these negative feelings, so now you should feel other. In order to compensate for the first negative feelings of hatred, you should feel other negative feelings of shame and guilt. See, this is what the fallen beings project at us. It's like the only way to react is to feel negative feelings. And if you feel really ashamed and really guilty for feeling hatred, then it somehow compensates for the hatred. But does it? No, because shame and guilt also produces low-frequency energy that accumulates in your energy field. So you're just being tied more and more into a negative spiral. And that's why I'm saying there comes a point where you have to decide, I'm going to break this spiral. And the only way to do it is consume the energy, transform the energy by invoking light from the Ascended Masters, look at the psychology, look at the subconscious self, and come to a point where you can see, oh, I just decided that as a spiritual person, I shouldn't have negative feelings, and therefore I should feel guilty for having them. But when I see that it's just a fallen beings that want to keep me on this merry-go-round, keep me trapped in this by this Gordian knot and this catch-22, I can cut through it and undo these selves and say, why should I stand by that decision that I made so long ago that I could have made it, and I know I could have made a better decision today. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to raise myself above it and just let it go. The two words that the fallen beings fear more than anything is letting go. Because when you just let it go for no reason, there's no argumentation. There's no argumentation that they can counteract by arguing. You're just letting it go because you're seeing it keeps me trapped and I don't want to be trapped anymore. Then the fallen beings can't do anything. It's like Jesus said, Prince of this world comes and has nothing in me. But what they have in you, the Prince of this world, is the unresolved psychology. When you're willing to look at it and resolve it and let it go, well, what do they have in you? And that is cutting the Gordian knot of human psychology.